Good Sunday morning. Welcome to WGN-TV Political Report. I'm Paul Lisnick. At City Hall, a debate over affordable housing is set to spill onto the City Council floor later this week. Mayor Brandon Johnson again pushing for a vote to make so-called granny flats legal across the city, a year after the same plan stalled. It's meant to offer more affordable housing options to those that need it and provide additional income for homeowners.
We need more units. That's the way in which we're going to drive the pricing for housing down, and we have to be more intentional about building more affordable units, and this is an innovative, creative way in which we can do that.
The plan would allow homeowners citywide to turn coach houses, attics, and more into contained residential living spaces. Alders in wards made up mostly of single-family homes say the proposal could ruin the character of Chicago's famed bungalow belt and add unwanted density to new areas. Another proposal could require special permits for some of those neighborhoods. The zoning committee is set to meet on Tuesday before the full council chamber gathers on Wednesday. My guest this morning is the lead sponsor of the proposal. 44th Ward Alderman Bennett Lawson joins me in our WGN studios. Alderman, good to see you.
Thank you, Paul. Good to be here.
It's been a little while.
Yeah.
So you've been critical to this topic, and so I want to talk to you about that. So what is the notion of somebody saying, hey, if I have a house and I want to take my attic and do something with it, why shouldn't I be able to do it? So what are some of your colleagues upset about?
Well, you're exactly right. When you look at the way most of our neighborhoods were built, it's multifamily. You have attics and you have basements, some coach houses that still remain. There's some concern in the lower density parts of the city, the bungalow belt in single family zones, that it will be a radical change, that everyone will have a two flat in 2 years. And that's just not the way the ordinance is set up. We learned that from the pilot, that it's very slow to roll out. It's one here and one there. Gentle density is the term I like to use. Parking is always a concern when you talk about adding a unit anywhere else. And so we're working to put some limits in those single family zones to address some of those concerns, but still get something meaningful passed to help address our housing crisis, which everyone knows is desperate.
Well, and Mayor Johnson has long pushed for more affordable housing. He's almost unbendable on that topic. And again, you've been active in negotiating a compromise here, so I want to dig into that a little bit. I know one of your colleagues, Marty Quinn, for example, he's worried about outside investors coming in and buying single-family homes and converting them overnight. Now we got multifamily. Could that happen under your plan?
So one of the things we're talking about is if homeowners would be restricted, so that it would only be homeowners in certain areas, specifically the single-family zones. I think that's
meaning homeowner and you live there as well?
Right. That you would prove up by homeowner's exemption that you're the property owner, you're adding the unit. That may be something that it would be an opt-in certain areas, or an opt-out at others. Where you want to see out-of-town investors, or that it's multifamily with an extra unit, and so that's typically not a homeowner.
Would it also include, in terms of your planning here, acceptable limits over like how many of these things could happen over certain periods of time, or maybe how many on a per block basis, those kind of restrictions?
Both, actually.
Okay.
We're looking at a block restriction, and it would be annually. So many per block per year. And that gives us time to look and see where these are being built. We did do a pilot. It was a 5-year pilot. There were some areas that were very hot, like the north side and the northwest side, and others that were slower, south, southwest, and west. And in those areas, homeownership was required. So part of that was inhibiting creating more units in those areas.
I did a little homework, and I'm sure you know, but back in 1957,
yes,
there were indeed zoning parking changes that led to bans on these things. As part of your work in the compromise, did you go back to 57? Sort of what was it like, and what's different now?
I didn't. I've done a little zoning history work over my career.
Must be fascinating.
We were zoned to be a city of 6 million people in the 50s. And there was a change then that really focused more on parking and automobiles. And it wasn't until 20 years ago that we looked at our zoning code to get back to really more urban dynamics. Density near transit is something we've been talking about for the last 10 years. And we've been moving in that direction more and more, ADUs being part of that.
One question would be, how could this impact property values? And I say that because there's an issue between, people wanting housing to come down. Mayor's concerned about that as well. But then if you do that, that could also affect the prices of things. How are you wrestling with that in this compromise?
Sure. Well, increasing supply should help stabilize rents and stabilize. Nothing's going down, right? Or you've got bigger problems if they do. But definitely increasing the supply is a big deal. Properties are assessed at their market value. So if you're adding a unit, your assessment can go up, right? You're not reaching the commercial level of 5 to 6 units, though. It's typically a smaller build. So there may be some tax implications, but there's also income. So that should offset that.
I know that one of your other colleagues, Matt O'Shea of the 19th Ward, his concern that he said is that he's hearing that it could be this thing is getting pushed through, not a lot of public input or public content. So again, I think you're kind of shepherding this. So
Right.
what are you doing in terms of involving the public and bringing in commentary?
Sure. So I introduced this ordinance 2 years ago on my first day in the council. Actually, it was one of 3 things, and it was a value statement.
And then you took over zoning for a while as well.
Right, and then was chairing zoning for 9 months last year, and was in the chair last July, a year ago, when this was held. And there was a lot of work that was done a year ago to get an ordinance that we thought would work. It didn't happen then. It's been a year, and I didn't want to wait another year before having those conversations. And so it's been a little quick, but this is not new for anybody. We've been talking about this for 2 years now. Actually, the pilot has been around since 2019.
Is it your expectation this could pass on Wednesday?
I certainly hope so. I think it'll be deferred and published, just like any other major piece of legislation is these days. But I'm confident that we've been listening to our colleagues that have concerns in the bungalow belt about a radical change to their neighbors and neighborhoods, and are able to mediate that.
Okay, with just a minute left, you represent Wrigleyville. People don't know the 44th Ward. It includes Wrigley Field. A lot of security concerns around there. You've made a lot of efforts in that area. Can you give us an update on security measures around Wrigley?
Sure. So we passed an agreement where there's a cost sharing to install bollards around the 4 corners of the ballpark, which includes Gallagher Way and the office building at Waveland and Clark. It's just shy of 600 bollards. Paid for by the state, city, and Cubs. It's roughly a third. State's paying a little bit more. That will help us secure the major asset there. We're also widening Addison on the south side of the ballpark. It gets to a pinch point where it's only 4 feet wide, and we're putting another 4 feet on there to give some breathing room. We're also using the movable bollards around the ballpark, and they're actually being used all over the city. So the hard bollards will protect the ballpark itself, while the movable Archer Meridians, they sort of look like yellow dog sleds. Some have arms, we're able to put around the neighborhood to help close streets as needed and direct traffic.
Okay, it was good to see his top on you. I've got a list of potholes I'm going to give you. No,
I
I'm just
hope
kidding.
so.
Just kidding. All right, we're going to thank you, Alderman Bennett
got
Lawson
it.
from the 44th Ward. We're going to take our first break. Up next, we're going to Washington. Democrats warn about deep cuts coming to Illinois now that President Trump's big budget bill is the law. Senator Tammy Duckworth weighs in after the break. And later, with candidates already hitting the campaign trail ahead of the 2026 midterms, a new study details how Democrats can reconnect with working-class voters they lost in 2024. I'm going to be talking with the authors later this half hour. Stay with us.